Morning. This class is for Christian mental health. But mental health is pretty big topic in this world right now because there are so many things that are happening because of the mental health, and well, we can say mental illness or mental health. But we want to just talk about the Christian mental health. But that is pretty big. Mental health itself, pretty big issue and topic, but we want to just add a Christian mental health. So how we can help? What the mental health is, and what kind of mental health are there, or mental illness are there, and plus how Christians gonna approach it to the mental health so we can help and we can prevent, we can educate for those people who have a mental illness and their families. Okay. So this is so I don't think we can take care of that topic for 10 minutes, so we want to just separate that. So basically, this is the first session of Christian mental health, and then later on, we want to just dig in a little bit more about Christian mental health, how Christians can just take care of those stuff and care for those people. So. For this quarter, for 10 minutes, we want to just talk about the mental health and there are so many types of mental health. So we want to just take a look one by one. I just picked 11 mental illness, but I try to finish that in 10 minutes, but if we can do that, I want to just take care of one or two mental illness in the next quarter. So mental health, what is that? There are many definitions, but I just pick one from. I think you can find that those materials are created to better health, Victoria government Australia. So that website was helpful. So I just wanted to borrow some stuff from there. So I want to just credit those stuff to them, but except some others. So what the mental health is. Why we have to think about the mental health? Because we can see various types of mental illness. We don't know what we have hands or livers or stomachs or bladders or something like that, because we don't have to think about it and we don't feel anything about it. But when we got hurt, when we got our hands hurt, we feel and we know and we notice and we just focus on our hands because it is painful. It's not natural. It is not comfortable. So when I got my right hand hurt, I have to be careful. So I'm not supposed to use my right hand for a while for the particular jobs, and that means I consult my right hands all the time. Okay, even when I'm sleeping, because I don't want to just crush or just put my hands under my butt. So I'm good. so I can get, more pain. So, for example, those things, when you got a stomach ache, until then, you don't have to think about, oh, my stomach is there, or my stomach is healthy. You don't think like that. You don't feel like that, because you don't know, whether your stomach is there or not. But cause you touch your stomach, but you don't actually feel your stomach much until you have stomach ache because of the poisonous food, or you just ate too much, or you are hungry, or whatsoever, or you have the stomach acid there, and you have a sore stomach, something like that. Okay. Until then, you don't feel any. You don't feel any. This is pretty quiet one. Liver. You don't feel liver until you almost lose your liver. Okay, like 80% or 90%. Then you're gonna feel that, or no, you have a liver. Okay, there are some parts in your body, and here and there, but it's the same thing. Why we care mental health? Because there are so many, or various kinds of mental health problems. That's what's called a mental disorder. Okay, so there are mental disorders, some types of it. But what the mental health or mental disorder is basically. So mental disorder means a clinically significant disruption of a person's thoughts, moods, behaviors, or ability to relate to others. Okay? A clinically significant means, well, sometimes I don't think right when I got too much tired or something. Sometimes I feel really bad because I watch news. Actually, I heard a piece of news. 90 people missing. 90 people are missing because of the apartment collapsing, right? An apartment collapsed in Florida. There was no terrorism. There was no earthquake. There was no hurricane something. Actually, hurricane is coming toward that, place. That is what happening during the summer. But they haven't got any hurricane yet. But the pretty tall apartment collapsed suddenly. There was no potholes around there. So nobody knows what happened right now. And people are trying to rescue some people, potentially under the ground or in the piles of the buildings. So that is very desperate, because we know there can be some people or animals, and so people are trying to rescue them. 90 people are missing. It reminds me of the 911, the World Trade Center collapsed because of the terrorism. 2 buildings collapsed very quickly. Lots of people lost their lives, and that was tragedy. And so after that, I just visited the ground zero there. So now they built beautiful buildings on top of the ground zero, but this has happened. This has happened last night or last night, I think. And these people are trying to rescue them. Okay, when I hear or listen and or watch that kind of news, I feel bad. I feel bad. Or sometimes I feel bad and I feel, you know, got depressed or well, something like that. I saw, there are so many crazy people, doing something wrong, but they can do that maybe, once in a while or a couple of times a year. And I have some people, they don't have a good relationship with others. Hikikomori. I mean, there are some minor, things. Those kind of odd or awkward or weird things are happening. But if that has happened once a year or something, that is not clinically significant disruption. Okay, disruption. Because it can be happening. I can be depressed sometimes. Okay? But what if I got depressed for 1 or 2 or 3 weeks and I don't eat much or I eat a lot, I can't sleep or I sleep a lot? Then I can be diagnosed, scientifically or medically, and people can say that I got depression or something, right? But until then, we can say there are some, uncomfortableness or weird situations or conditions are happening there, but we cannot say you have a mental disorder or something, or mental illness. All right? So, when you see the DSM-5, the diagnosis and statistics and mental has something, and then that's the DSM-5 or R, addition, something, and then when psychologists or psychiatrists or some counselors diagnosis some people who have a mental illness or something like that, and then they always have a standard. Each mental illness have standards to see if that is illness or disorder or something happened a couple of times, and then they usually say if that kind of symptoms last 2 weeks, a month, 6 weeks, then they can diagnose those kind of conditions as mental illness. Until then, we cannot say, you looks like a depressed. You have a depression. We cannot say that. All right. So, a clinically significant disruption of a person's thoughts, moods, behaviors, and ability to relate to others, that is severe enough to require treatment or intervention to help the individual function normally. Okay. So the person needs any treatment, any intervention to help. Intervention means, we can, the professionals can do counsel or medical treatment, like, prescribe some medicines for those people, because we can control our, minds and thoughts with some drugs, and so then we can say that's a mental illness or mental disorders. Okay. All right. The majority of individuals with mental disorders receive no treatment. That's the problem. Because when I got depressed because of my relationship with others, then I can feel depression. But even though I just realized that I got depression as a mental illness, but do I need to see my doctor or counselors or doctors? It is totally up to me. Well, when kind of all the things are happening, people can, just push those people to, to the mental health center or hospital. They can hospitalize those kind of people, or many things can happen to those people who have a mental illness. But what if I don't go there? Okay. Then there is the problem. Okay. If I hurt myself only, that is still bad. But what if I hurt others because of the mental illness? Like, for example, schizophrenia. When a person has a schizophrenia, then the person can see kind of a demon or enemy from his or her mother, father, and sisters and brothers. Then he or she the patient can attack those people, or sometimes shoot them and kill them, or stab them. It happens, or better, it happens. Because of, the mental illness, when their mother talks to them, talks to them, those patients can think his or her enemy is talking to her or him, and they're gonna just protect themselves. So sometimes, attack them with knives or guns or baseball bats or something like that. So that is the problem. Over 40,000 individuals die from suicide each year. And there are so many problems, but I don't think, all of them have a mental illness, but lots of people in 40,000 people have mental illness problems, I think. Okay. Those who seek treatment are more likely to seek out clergy than mental health providers. That is the kind of point how and what and why we have to think about the Christian mental health. Okay. Yeah, fortunately, a person has mental illness, and let's say he wants to see his pastor or priest or Buddhist monk or something like that. Okay. When his clergy has pretty solid knowledge and experience on the mental health, that would be great. And the clergy can see what's going on to him, the patient, and the clergy can provide counselings and refer that person to other psychiatrists or counselors or social workers and any organization staffs like the Department of Mental Health in in Orange County or LA County or in any place, right? But what if the closet has no idea what's going on, but the closet wants to only use Bible or something? I think the Bible has great power too, but is it good enough? I don't know. Does it work to all cases? I don't think so. What if God doesn't allow to to the closet to use kind of spiritual or supernatural power or comfort to the patient? Well, that can be kind of a delicate, question, but I'm pretty sure God uses supernatural power at the same time natural power, which means doctors' interventions like counseling, prescription of some medicines or surgeries or even many things, but who knows? But what we can do is we want to just try our best to have those patients, right? With our best knowledge, with our best skills, and closest to have spiritual skills and pastoral or clerical counseling skills, and counselors use counseling skills. Psychiatrists can use counseling skills, medical skills, like surgery and prescribing medicines. Then we can expect God's grace for showing us or showing the patients His grace and mercy. So, just heal those patients with His natural and supernatural power and grace through people. Not only clergies, but also the psychiatrists, counselors, social workers, all people related with them, including the patient's friends and families. So those who do seek treatment are more likely to seek out closet and mental health providers. That's the good point we need to think about. And statistics, 1 out of every 5 individuals in USA suffers with a mental health problem in a given year. Okay. 1 out of 5 people. 1 out of 5 people in the US suffers with a mental health problem in a given year, whether that is severe or light. Okay? 1 out of every 25 individuals in the USA is dealing with a serious mental health disorder. 1 out of every 25 individuals, which means roughly 1 student in 25 students, right? How many people you see? How many people's passing by you? Okay, on the street, on the freeway, in the mall, or something like that. There are mental health problem patients. It can be serious. It can be sad. Half of these individuals have the disorder in place by age 14, teenagers. 75% of these individuals have the disorder in place by the time they are 24 years. So, one out of 5 have mental health problems. 1 out of 25 serious problems. Okay? And half of them, which means like roughly 13, 1 out of 13. 1 out of 13 that is half of 1 out of 25 has the problem under 14 years. Okay. 75% of 1 out of 25 that's under 25 years old. 24 years old, sorry. That's a lot of things. So the younger, the more serious mental health they have. This is serious. Well, we know what the adolescence is and how that is tough because we went through those things already, and we felt so many things. Our moods were up and down many times in a day even. And still teenagers and young adults are going crazy in many areas. So that's kind of problems. All right, there are many types of mental disorder. So we want to just think about the mental health, disorders. So the first one is anxiety disorder, okay? Anxiety disorders are a group of mental health problems. So they include generalized anxiety disorders, social phobias, and specific phobias, for example, agoraphobia and claustrophobia, and panic disorders. Depression is often related to anxiety disorders too. But depression is kind of one big topic that is actually huge, and it has so many, there's so many people who are struggling with depression. So anxiety can be related with depression also, but we want to just talk about the depression later on. Anxiety disorders are common mental health problems that affect many people. Yes, approximately 25% of the population have an anxiety disorder that warrants treatment at some time in their life, and up to another 25 have less severe anxieties such as fears of spiders and snakes. Well, spiders, is that anxiety? Snakes, scary. Is that an anxiety or something? Well, you can surprise. You can scare spiders and snakes, but you cannot do anything. You got frozen there, and then whenever you imagine or see those stuff, spiders and snakes, you cannot do anything, or you just got fear. If you see those in the field, the mountains and parks and lakes, so you cannot do anything, you know, when you imagine or see those stuff, you cannot overcome the scary or surprise from those experiences, and then you got in trouble, and that's what's so-called anxiety. You wanna take a walk, or trekking the mountains. I cannot do that because I don't wanna see snakes. Then your life is limited. You cannot go mountains and rivers and oceans or any place you cannot go, and sometimes you scare. You just check all the corners and bottoms, and because of the spiders, and you have serious fear on those stuff like spiders or snakes, and you can say that it's anxiety, right? Well, 25% of people, like 1 out of 4, have an anxiety disorder that warrants treatment at some time in their life, okay? Not all anxiety is disorder, though. Right. Anxiety is anxiety, but anxiety disorder means you have anxiety and that makes something wrong. Like this, everyone experiences anxiety and fear at times, yes. These are normal and helpful human emotions that help us deal with danger. If you don't have anxiety or fear against the snakes and you don't run away, you're gonna get bitten and you can die. Don't underestimate those animals, especially the snakes, I hate snakes. When I see snakes, I have a bad experience, especially because I dreamed a dream that was repeated for certain period. So since then, and because I watched the kind of movie. So since then, I don't like snakes and rats. Even I don't like mouse too. However, some people experience excessive and irrational anxiety and worries that become ongoing and distressing, and that interfere with their daily lives. Okay, they cannot do normal activities in their lives. This may indicate an anxiety disorder. Often there appears to be no obvious or logical reason for the way the person feels. Oh, I fear snakes and spiders. Well, there's no spiders in the in sauna or somewhere, but they just scared, so they cannot go. They cannot go spa because they think snakes can come out of the water, or they just live under the sauna or something. So so that can be that kind of activities and thoughts are we can say it's kind of weird and that is too much, but they feel that way. This may make an anxiety disorder even more worrying to the sufferer. Okay. So that's anxiety disorder. Okay. But anxiety and anxiety disorder is different. And depression is kind of this disorder, but you can get depressed sometimes, but it doesn't mean that you have depression problem. Depression disorder. as one of the mental disorders. Symptoms of anxiety disorders. The main features of an anxiety disorder are fears or thoughts that are chronic, which means constant, chronic. You don't fear just once. You don't fear just for a moment, but it comes to your thoughts and feelings, constantly. All right, and distressing, and that interfere with daily living. So you cannot focus on your work because you have anxiety, you have fear on something. Okay? So because you worried, or lots of spiders can come to you, to your office, and you just, search on underneath of the desks and all the, corners and behind the computer screens, and you just figure that out, everything is safe, and you work, and then you sometimes you just think that there can be some spiders or snakes, and so you just scare, and you have to make sure on all the corners behind the furnitures, and then you have to work on your work, and then that is, disrupting the daily lives. Okay. Other symptoms of an anxiety disorder may include like panic or anxiety attacks, or a fear of these attacks. Okay? So once you see a little spider, not like big and huge, which bitten the Spider-Man, right? You don't want to be Spider-Man bitten by a spider at all. So it's not gonna be happening. It's a movie, okay? Little kids, they have little kids. Don't try to get bitten by spiders, and they're gonna get sick or die. So they're not gonna be Spider-Man by then, right? Right? Panic or anxiety attacks for a few of these attacks. And physical anxiety reactions, for example, trembling, sweating, faintness, a rapid heartbeat, difficulties breathing, or nausea. Okay? Avoidance behavior. A person may go to extreme length to avoid a situation that they think could bring on anxiety or panic. Okay? So as I said, they fear snakes, so they don't go outside. They don't go trekking, hiking, mountain climbing, no, never. They don't go rivers. They don't walk on the grass. They don't play golf because they have to walk on the grass, and then they don't know what will happen, so they fear. They have fear. They think, what if a snake or snakes attack, him or her? So they don't play golf. They don't do anything outside. Something like that. And then those are symptoms of anxiety disorders. Okay. Panic attacks are a common symptom too. Okay, panic. A panic attack is a sudden feeling or intense terror that may occur in certain situations or for no apparent reason. a panic attack does not mean a person is necessarily suffering an anxiety disorder. However, a panic attack is a common feature of each type of anxiety disorder. Okay? So, almost all anxiety disorders have panic attacks. Well, I don't know. My daughter and my wife has the same. They are same. So whenever they see spiders, they scream. They don't like them. And when they see cockroaches, they scream. But they can't catch them. They always call who? I'm the only. Well, I'm not the only, but because my son can do that too. They call me spider catcher, cockroach killer. That's me. That's me, and I have to take care of them. And that's the moment that I can be their hero, because they get scared a lot, and they scream a lot, and they just do, ooh, what am I gonna do? Ooh, and they just run away, and they just point, there is cockroaches and spiders or something, right? A panic attack is a sudden feeling or intense terror that may occur in certain situations or for no apparent reason. A panic attack, okay. Symptoms of panic attack may include this: shortness of breath, something like that, dizziness, lose the balance because dizziness, rapid heart rate, boom, 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 and choking, something like that, and nausea. Oh my goodness. Trying to go. Okay? So panic comes with anxiety disorders, pretty much. The cause of panic attacks is unknown, but they may be related to chemical response in the brain caused by actual threatening or stressful events, or by thinking about stressful events. Well, because our brain, it's like, animals' intestines, or it looks like, and then maybe feel like tofu or something. It is kind of mysterious still, and lots of scientists unveiled, the mystery of our brain. But still, they are just working on it. We cannot say they know everything. They know all, but our scientists have found that there are so many kinds of chemicals. So when our brains are working, and our brains are, just do this and that by chemicals, or they produce chemicals, or they reduce chemicals, or something like that. Okay? And panic attacks is unknown, but some people are thinking that our brain has response, as chemical response, okay? And they just share the signs and informations with the chemicals or something, right? The brain response leads to physiological changes in the body, such as shallow breathing and rapid heart rate. Okay, because we have um, when anxiety, when a person has an anxiety disorder because of the spider or snakes, when they see those things or when they imagine those things, and they have a chemical response in the brain, in their brain, and then they can change our body, because we have to, the brain has to order, or just get ready to protect, our body. So it produces some chemicals and all this and that. So the brain can protect ourselves automatically. So we can sweat, or we can short breath, or because normal breath doesn't work, so we need a short breath, breathing, and or rapid heartbeat, so we can circulate out, send more blood to our bodies, so we can get ready to, those things we afraid, we have panic on. So then we can just run away fast, we can move fast when we have attacks from snakes or spiders. When we are doing this, it takes time to run away, but when we have attention, and then when we open our eyes, wide opens, and then we can get ready. So when we have a fight, we have the same thing. Our bodies have tensions, and our bodies have more heartbeats or something. So we need to protect ourselves. We have to attack others for saving ourselves and something like that. So when we get in the dark room, our eyes gonna be opened wider, so we can have more, lights in our eyes, which means we can see better in the darkness. I don't think, or I order to open our eyes, but it happens automatically, because the brain is controlling, depends on our body situations in anxieties and anxiety levels. Okay? So those things that happen. Panic attacks can be frightening, yes. Some people say they feel like they are going to die or go crazy. Yes. They go crazy. They think they can die. Because of the spider, because of the snake? Yes, because they have anxiety disorders on them, because of them. We cannot say, I'm not afraid of spiders, I can kill with my thumb, or it doesn't matter, They have their own experiences, and they have their own anxieties on certain things, and so they can get suffer from that. Now, people affected by panic attacks may avoid situations in which they think attacks might occur. Yes, so they don't go outside, and they don't go play golf on the grass, or they don't go mountain climbing. Okay. So panic attacks may avoid situations in which they think attacks might occur. In some cases, this may lead to the development of other anxiety disorders, including agoraphobia. Types of anxiety disorders. Anxiety becomes a disorder when it's irrational, excessive, and when it interferes with a person's ability to function in daily life. Anxiety disorders include Generalized anxiety disorders, just fear and anxiety. And social phobias means fear of social situations. So they just shut themselves in their room and be hikikomori. So they don't go outside. They don't meet or call their friends at all. Okay, they just shut themselves out. So they are separated and they feel free. For example, okay, specific phobias, for example, fear of open spaces, that's one so-called agoraphobia. So they don't go outside, which has, open area. And when they go out, they just close their eyes and block their eyes and something like that, so they can think they are in a safe, small space, not in the field or agora. Agora means square, right? Agora. Kind of open space. Or enclosed spaces, claustrophobia. Claustrophobia means they can use elevator. Okay, they got in there, and when the door is closed, they go crazy. They can't breathe well too, cause it looks like they got trapped in a small space. That's totally opposite with agoraphobia. So claustrophobia, that's for anxiety in a small space or enclosed and trapped, kind of a trapped space. And then they don't ride the cars for a long time, or they don't ride the airplanes. So I know some people have anxiety on airplane, so they can't fly. They use cars instead of airplane, or they use ships. I mean, they use a ship because they can't fly. They can't use planes at all. Panic disorders, frequent and debilitating panic attacks. That's panic disorders. Okay, generalized anxiety disorder. Generalized anxiety is excessive anxiety and constant worry about many things. Oh my goodness. The focus of the anxiety might be family or friends, health, work, money, or forgetting important appointments. Oh my goodness, I have to, mommy, I go outside to play with my friends. Oh, you have to be careful. Who's your friend, whom you want to just play with? Where you want to go? What are you going to do? Do you have money? Do you have a cell phone? Is your cell phone charged well? Something like that. A person may be diagnosed with a generalized anxiety disorder if the anxiety and worry have been present most days over a 6 months period. Okay, for last 6 months, almost every day you have those kind of anxieties, and you can be diagnosed as generalized anxiety disorder. So you just worry every day. The person finds it difficult to control their anxiety. If they think they can control their anxieties and disorders, there is no disorders or anxiety disorders or whatever. Okay? They can't control those things. They try, so people can say, try not to worry about, many things, but they can't. That's why that is disorder. Okay? They cannot be healed by just one word, don't worry about it. They do. They can't stop their, what they worry about. Because they worry almost every day, almost every day. Social phobias. People with social phobia are afraid of being negatively judged or evaluated by others. What if they think that I'm stupid? What if they think that I'm not fashionable? What if they think that I'm too smart or something? It's kind of awkward though. This leads to fear of doing something that may humiliate them in public. For example, public speaking, using public toilets, eating and drinking in public, riding in public, or any social encounters such as parties or workplaces. What if they think I'm eating like a dog? What if they think that I'm, what if they don't like my writings? Something like that. Social phobias. That's kind of painful. It's hard to work with others. And some social phobia sufferers may only fear one type of situation. Others may be concerned about several types of situations. This can lead them to avoid the feared situations, which can then lead to severe isolation and avoiding people and activities they usually enjoy. So they don't play basketballs with others. So they play basketballs when there's nobody in the basketball field. Something like that. It's pretty sad. There are some more specific phobias. A person with a specific phobia has a persistent and irrational fear of a particular object or situation, like one spider, one snake, one rat. They may fear animals, places, or people. Fear of the object or situation is so severe that a person may experience physical symptoms and panic attacks. Fears may include dogs, blood. When they see blood, they go crazy. Okay. Stones, spiders, or other objects or situations, like a kind of sharp point things, including ballpoint pens, sharper pencils. Spiders or other objects or situations, but in all cases, the anxiety is both excessive and interfering. So, some people have anxiety on spiders, but they are okay with cockroaches. Okay, those are specific phobias. The adultophobia sufferer usually knows. The adultophobia sufferer usually knows that their fear is excessive or unreasonable. However, their need to avoid the object, place, or person can significantly restrict their life. Well, the young or little kids can have phobias, but the adult phobia, anxiety phobia sufferers, they can understand what's going on, but they cannot do that. They cannot overcome it. That's why that is also called disorders. Okay? You understand, you can fix. No one wants to call them disorders. Okay? Disorders is why you cannot do anything for them. Well, you can try something with the help of scientists and psychiatrists or counselors, but still, it is not easy for them because it is pretty tough. Panic disorders. Panic or anxiety attacks are common. Panic disorders are less common. affecting about 2% of population. For a person to be diagnosed with a panic disorder, they would usually have had at least 4 panic attacks each month. 4 panic attacks each month. Okay, that's the standard we can decide. We can diagnose. And over an extended period of time, not only for a month, but for 2, 3, 4 months, and there are 4 panic attacks at least in a month, and those are consistent, and that can be panic disorders. Often, panic attacks may not be related to a situation, but come on spontaneously. You should be ready, but I got finger problems, so okay. Panic disorder may be diagnosed if panic attacks are frequent and if there is a strong and persistent fear of another panic occurring. Okay, those are standards for diagnosed as panic disorders. Anxiety disorders can have serious effects. Yes, all disorders have serious effects, and anxiety disorder is not the exception. An anxiety disorder may lead to social isolation, like a hikikomori, and clinical depression, and can impair a person's ability to work. They cannot work. Their bodies are totally perfect, but they have a fear and they have anxiety, so they cannot focus on their work. Study, no studies, and do routine activities. It may also hurt relationship with friends, family, and colleagues. It's common for depression and anxiety to happen at the same time. Okay? I mean, because when you just understand that you have, panic disorders or anxiety disorders or spider or dust or something like that, and then you know that you cannot work with others well because of those things you cannot take, you fear. And then you have to be isolated because you wanted to avoid those kind of situations and those kind of things you don't like, you cannot bear it. Then you'll be isolated, and because you are isolated, you're gonna get depressed. Because you want to be, a better person, normal person at least. But without any disorders, whether that is anxiety or panic or something, whatever, and then you know that you cannot do that, you could get you get depressed. It's natural, right? No one can say, "Oh, now I can play by myself. I'm gonna play alone, and I'll be happy." No one can say that because we are not designed to live by ourselves and be alone, and loneliness is kind of sad. It's pretty dark. Okay, so depressions usually coming together. Depression can be serious illness with a high risk of self-harm and suicide. Because you got disappointed with you and you want to just avoid those kind of panics and anxieties. So how you can avoid those things? You don't want to have. You don't want to face. So people just, kill themselves, many cases. So they need, those kind of patients need lots of friends. Recovery is possible with treatment. Yes, that is good news, right? Recovery is possible. Recovery from an anxiety disorder is possible with the right treatment and support. Effective treatments for anxiety disorders may include, not everything, cognitive behavior therapy. Cognitive behavior therapy aims to change patterns of thinking, cognitive beliefs, cognitive and behaviors that may trigger anxiety. You just don't do anything, which can trigger your anxiety. So you have to train yourself not to do something, those things. Exposure therapy involves gradually exposing a person to situations that trigger anxiety using a fear hierarchy. This is called the systematic desensitization. That means this. You had a snake. You have anxiety on snakes, okay? So when you see a snake, you go crazy. But what if you know that a snake is trapped securely in a clear box? You know that you are safe, but you still have anxieties on it. But you know that you are safe. And you can see that snake in a clear box, like in a zoo or something. You can be exposed to a snake. What if there is a two snake? Oh, go crazy, right? I hate it. Well, what if you just see and watch the snakes, one by one, gradually, and you get used to it. Because you get used to it, you get numb a little bit, little by little. Do you remember Rodney King? Rodney King, it triggered LA riot. In a trial, lots of police officers, chased Rodney King, and Rodney King just yelled and just lied on the ground, but they are supposed to handcuff and take the Rodney King to the police station, and that's it, right? But they just, beat Rodney King so severely, like hyenas and animals. So those, white police officers was on trial. And in the trial, when they watched the video clips, the police officers are beating the Rodney King was very cruel, very animal-like, very insane, go crazy people. But they showed that video clips again and again and again and again, and then jurors got numb. Once you watch something cruel once, you got shocked. And the next time, you know what will happen, because your shock level gonna go down, 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 down. And then the jurors said, and then the judges said, it's not guilty, no guilty, because police officers did a good job. So all black people got mad and they started the LA riots. But the white police officers didn't protect the Koreatown or other African American towns, but they only blocked Hollywood, which, the place majority white people are living there. It's crazy. Riots are happening in here and in Koreatown and in LA town, but they never went down to protect those areas, but they just protected only Hollywood. That's what I was told. Sometimes I don't understand what kind of a country I'm living in. Why people are going crazy. Why people are doing something rational. Is it reasonable? You can think about it, right? By showing that video clip again and again, that made their jurors know it's the same thing. It was negative, example, but this is positive example. They show the snakes one by one, many times, often times, and then they use the systematic desensitization. Okay. Anxiety management and relaxation techniques. For example, deep muscle relaxation, stretching, relaxation, meditation or meditation, breathing exercise, and counseling. Medication, this may include antidepressants and benzodiazepines. Okay, so with those medications and practices and treatments, they can just take care of the anxiety disorders. Does it work well? It can work well to some patients. It can take longer time for certain patients, and sometimes it is pretty hard to, help the particular anxiety disorder sufferers. It depends on the case. Anyway, anxiety disorder is kind of common, but that is pretty hard on some people. So it affects to themselves, their families, and their societies we are living in together. And it can make some other problems too. So we know how to help those people with those kind of professional or non-professional treatments. Meditation can be, professional treatment, and it can be non-professional treatment too, because we know how to meditate. Okay. So anxiety disorder was the first thing we want to just take care of, mental health. So, and then we want to just work on the particular mental illness one by one, and then eventually we're gonna just finish this topic for the next nine weeks, and it's gonna be fun at the same time, and it can be time we can understand ourselves and others, especially who is suffering from those mental disorders. Okay, so I see you next week.